Right now, millions of people are connecting AI to their entire digital life. And everyone's asking the same thing. Is Claude dangerous? Is ChatGPT safe? Is Claude secretly stealing my data? But here's the thing. They're all thinking about the wrong risk. The real threat is something you already did, probably today. You clicked allow. And by the end of this video, I'm going to give you the exact framework I use to avoid the real risk of using AI. I use these tools every single day, and I've done more AI integrations than most people even know about. And that's why this really scares me. So let me show you exactly what's happening right now. Every major AI company is having an integration arms race. ChatGPT has plugins, connectors, AI agents that think for you. Claude has MCP, which allows context to blend through everything. And Gemini is baked into your entire Google ecosystem. And that makes sense. The more context an AI has, the better it's going to perform as your personal assistant. But here's what nobody explains to you. Every single one of those connections is a permission. And permissions don't just add, they compound. You didn't just connect your ChatGPT agent to your email. You gave it your financial documents, your medical information, your tax return. Anything that's present inside of your email is now accessed by ChatGPT. And you clicked allow in about 2 seconds because you're thinking too short term. That's the first thing you need to understand. Most people don't even realize what they've already given away. But the second thing is even worse. Permissions aren't just static. They grow. When you connect your Google account to an AI tool today, it doesn't just see what you have up to this point. It sees what you're going to have tomorrow, next week, next year, and so on. You made one small decision, but the scope of that decision expands every single day without you clicking on anything else. I like to call this integration creep. And integration creep is the real risk of using AI because it doesn't happen instantly. It creeps in slowly. You connect your calendar, which is great. It allows your AI to see what you're doing. Then you connect your email so it can have more context. But then you add your files so it can pull back on things you've already worked on. Before you know it, your Slack, your GitHub, your Notion, your Obsidian is all connected into this single AI platform. You've handed over the keys to your entire digital life, not because you specifically chose to, but because it happened slowly. But there's one new tool that takes this to an entirely new level. You may have seen it blowing up recently. It's called OpenClaude or Claude Bot. I've seen about 100 videos on this exact tool, but here's the real risk that people don't understand. Claude Bot is an AI assistant that actually runs on your computer. Unlike ChatGPT or regular Claude, it doesn't just answer questions, it can actually act for you. It can send emails, delete your messages, edit your files, access the web, all on your behalf. People love it, and it's gotta be one of the fastest growing AI tools today. But researchers already found that there's a plugin for OpenClaude that was silently stealing users' data. Users had no idea this was happening in the background. That's what happens when you give AI access to everything and then hope it runs on autopilot. And people using AI might not be the most technical. They're just following tutorials they saw on YouTube. That's why you need a framework for thinking about how to use AI. And once you see this, you'll never look at a permission screen the same way. Let's start with Zone 1, where you can connect freely. These are integrations where the data is already public or wouldn't cause any harm if it was let out. The AI naturally wants you to give as much content and context as possible, but it's up to you to do due diligence and make sure you're allowing the least amount of data. Here's the simple trick. Before you click allow on any permission, ask yourself this question. If a stranger saw this about me, would it matter? If the answer is no, then that's a Zone 1 level connection. I'll give you a real example about a time I used this before I even developed the framework. I was working on a school project and I had it inside of a folder of a Google Drive. I allowed the AI tool to have access to my entire Google Drive by accident. This is the same drive that had my work projects, my school projects, my tax return, my lease, my banking information. And as soon as I realized, it was almost too late. I had gotten a few emails that my data had been breached simply because of my own error. So I went ahead and removed that access from the AI program, and now it's totally secure. Calendar access for scheduling is totally fine. Web browsers and search functions are totally normal to allow the AI to function on the web. Note-taking apps that only contain non-sensitive information, you're free to connect. The upside here is super high and the downside is really minimal, as long as you can leverage the AI correctly in Zone 1. But this is where most people go wrong. They treat every connection like a Zone 1, even when it shouldn't be. Zone 2 is connect selectively. These are integrations where data is private, but not catastrophic. Work documents, project files, Slack messaging, your CRM, these shouldn't get a blanket permission level. Most tools will allow you to choose specific folders, documents, or files that you'll allow it to have access to. The difference between connecting one Google folder and your entire Google Drive is massive. Now, when you're on the permission screen, a lot of times it's going to look identical, and that's by design. But there's a third zone, and this one is a non-negotiable. Zone 3, don't connect. These are integrations where exposure would cause real long-lasting damage. Financial accounts, banking information, API keys, medical documents, literally anything that has a lot of your own personal, very private information public should not be given. If a tool requires that you give access to a Zone 3 level document, that is not a normal function. That should be a screaming red flag. My rule is simple. No AI should access anything Zone 3. They don't need access to your bank account to be useful. No productivity gain is worth giving a system access to your medical records or your IP address. And here's the thing most people miss about Zone 3. You connected your email in Zone 2, right? But what happens when your doctor may email over test results? That becomes a Zone 3 breach from a Zone 2 email. So earlier, when I said permissions don't just stack, they compound, that's exactly what I mean. None of that was there when you clicked allow on the email, but it's all accessible now. That is exactly why integration creep is so dangerous. The zones shift underneath you, and most times you're not going to be alert enough to notice it. So here's exactly what I do to try to stay ahead of the integration creep. Every 30 days, I run a permission audit. It takes 5 minutes, but it's the highest leverage thing you can do to make sure you're being safe with your AI. Step 1, open every AI tool you use. Step 2, check exactly what each one is connected to. Most people are shocked to find out what they're missing. Step 3, for each connection, ask these 3 questions. 1, am I still using this? 2, has the scope extended past what I originally intended? 3, does this data now touch a Zone 3 that I hadn't thought of before? And the final step of the permission audit is the most important. Go to your Google or your Microsoft account and check which third-party apps have access. There will be a full list sitting there with every single app or document that has access to your information. Most people have never even looked at that because they didn't know it exists. And again, most people are shocked when they really do. Now, if a connection isn't actively making your life better, disconnect it. Because here's the equation most people ignore. The cost of reconnecting something later is 30 seconds to a minute. The cost of forgetting to disconnect and having your information exposed could last a lifetime. And yet, people still treat clicking allow like it's some type of cookie banner. It's not. It's not even close. And let me leave you with this. AI assistants in 2026 are genuinely incredible. I use them literally every single day. They're only going to get more integrated, more powerful, and need more context. That's not a bad thing. But the people who win aren't the ones who connect everything blindly. They're the ones who are crazy about double checking permissions. So if you've ever been scared to use an AI because you didn't understand the data security, I hope this video helped you out. In one of my last videos, I got a lot of comments about this exact topic, so I wanted to address it in this one. I hope I helped you out, and I'll see you in the next one.